Also, we'll have a
Okay.
discussion.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning to all. Good morning to all.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
ma'am.
Very
madam.
good
Uh,
morning, madam.
today
Morning,
I will
madam.
Good morning.
discuss. Today I will discuss about states in medieval times. We already discussed about block number 2, unit 5, 6 and 7. We speaks about the early state formation in north and south. Today we will discuss block number 3, unit 8, 9 and 10, 11. A state under Delhi Sultanate, Vijayanagar of Bahmani and other kingdoms, the founder of Mughal Empire, the Mughal state and 18th century successor state. So many topic in this block. Therefore, it is very much necessary you can listen silently without disturbance. Okay. Now we will start the Delhi
Madam, pore
Sultanate.
kariyo.
Okay. Arab invasion of Sindh. Introduction. With the passage of time, history of India. With the passage of time, history of India. History of India at that time, the history of India after the occupation of Sindh had entered into the medieval phase. The widespread political instability in India after the death of Harshavardhana, the last independent Hindu king, had inspired the foreign elements once again to attack and enter India. After the rise of Islam, the Arabs having successfully implanting in Syria, Palestine, Egypt, and Persia. Okay. In 712 AD, they were successful in occupying Sindh. Qutbuddin Aibak was the real founder of Turkish rule in India. He was the key man behind Muhammadi's successor of India. The process of formation of the Delhi Sultanate started with the rise of Qutbuddin Aibak. He came to power in 1206. Iltutmish was the first real Turkish Sultanate of Delhi. Aram Shah defeated by Iltutmish. After this inglorious period of 8 months rule of Aram Shah, there are a glorious period of Iltutmish in 1211, which continued for a long period. Ghiyasuddin Balban started 1266 to 1287. Balban Balban's destruction of Fati, the spy system, reorganization of army, and then and Alauddin Khilji, the theory of kingship, etc. So now the process of formation of Delhi Sultanate. The process of formation of Delhi Sultanate started with the rise of Qutbuddin Aibak to power in 1206. However, it was only during Iltutmish's reign that the Sultan of Delhi in the real terms became free from control of the ruler of Ghazni. Influence of Islamic thinking tradition definitely had a bearing of the rulers of Delhi Sultanate, but it was need of balancing different dominant groups. The state was not theocracy because at that time a defined by the clergy were hardly core concern of the Sultan. It was in practice there was a little destination between the lives of the ordinary people. So, according to Satish Chandra Saha, medieval India from the Sultanate to the Mughals in Delhi, 1999. In the absence of any written law or constitution, the state in Delhi Sultanate functioned according to wisdom and political fragmentation of the ruler. It is an important to understand that the concerns of the state at the beginning of 13th century when it was at its formative stage were different from the concerns of the state in 14th century when it got consolidated. So it is suggested that the state under the Sultanate needs to understand as a process rather than a monolithic structure imposed from above. Understanding the state. What do you mean by state? To study the state under Delhi Sultanate, we need to bear in mind means of acquiring and maintaining power at that time. While it is true that power could be wrested by a group of people, usually with superior military skills, it is not if this it was enough for the rulers of the rule. Rulers felt the need to legitimate the authority through various other means. Legitimation Legitimation included not just patronage of important groups of people like the nobles of religious classes. At that time, the state constituted a real terms of the central political authority as represented by the king or sultan. his court and courtier and all the officials who were posted in the various parts of the kingdom as a visible appearance of the central ruling power. At that time in Delhi Sultanate, the nobility, who were an important part of the state, occupied largely of slaves who had a complex relationship of royalty with individuals often revolted against him. Struggle between the Sultan and the nobles for power monopolized all power position. But with the coming of Khilji dynasty, there are some changes arising. There are a certain very clear components of every state. For instance, every state must have a territory to govern over people, to rule over, to an army, a wage wars, and protect their own territory. A basic structure of laws and administration and officers to carry out their respective duties. Also, we must not confuse the state with the government. State is the organization of various segments into an organic whole aimed at controlling its territory, whereas government is the action that the state takes to achieve this end. In other words, it is through governance that the state is able to maintain its dominant and hegemonic position over its people. So, which sources are important for this reason? While studying state in ancient India, you must have noticed that our source for the Mauryan state was Arthashastra. Arthashastra was written by Kautilya or Chanakya, the famous minister of Mauryan king Chandragupta. In the case of Delhi Sultanate, there are a few sources which deal directly with the state in the early times. This was so because the Sultanate at this time was a political stage and was gripping to become stable and strong. The process, which could take many years, if not decades, also texts of chronicles were usually written as products of patronage for the court. Before we proceed further, we need to maintain these sources. There are views of individual, many more may represent prevailing realities of times. However, since it is that we have evidence, it is useful to know what they say with regard to the state. According to Fakir-e-Mudabir, the subject first he tell about that the situated in context of Delhi Sultanate, which was at this time in an infancy. He is therefore eager to power remains in the hands of the ruling classes. In the text reflects of the concern. What is important, remember that this point, there seems to be definite given structure called the state. What we have saw, the evidence, it is process at work at an administrative and political coincidence through proper effective function. Towards that end concern the ways in which they may be achieved and power be related and rest in the hands of the ruling classes. Barini, other historian and historiographer, Barini was a counselor in the court of Sultan Muhammad Taghlaq in 1324. He was written a number of texts, but what concerns us here? The text are in the form of 24 advices. Thus, underlying the decades nature of the text, it speaks proper ways of government, and the text has been considered by many modern scholars as the first systematic and enumeration of art of government in Delhi Sultanate and the only text to do so. So, in this way, in discussing Barani's ideas, the state of government, Ifran Habib said that his vision of the state included display of pomp and splendor of create an impact on the state and might on minds of the people. He also advocated restraint the use of excessive violence. At that time, it led to the tyrannical displacement of the ruling classes, which in turn undermined the stability of the state. Thus, between a confusion between Barani and Mudabir. At that time, historians like Stanley Lenpal, Ishari Prasad, A.B.M. Habibullah, Muhammad Habib, K.A. Nizam, etc., the more recently, Jackson have characterized the Delhi Sultanate as a centralized state. This need to be explained. The Delhi Sultanate was established after the Second Battle of Tarani in 1192 AD. One of the important reasons why the Turks were able to establish a base in the subcontinent, first in Lahore and after 1206 AD, Delhi, which served as the capital of their kingdom. Thereafter, which a brief brief distance between 1324 to 27 and was according to Warhorse, the Delhi Sultanate, a problem of military department. At that time, the kingdom emerged therefore one of the sole relative stability and to able expand of the consolidate its political base in course of time. This was a large measure because they were able to harness various resources available to them, a plan that would have not been possible without centralized authorization state which controlled a various organs of the state to control its resource for its benefit. However, more recent research was shown that while it was true that political rule of Turks survived and consolidated itself constantly, it was not a smooth process which was unchallenged. The degree to which the state was centralized, how far the central political power, group of rulers, and court nobles could actual power. No concession. Such studies suggest that the state at that time was only slightly bureaucratized, and there is no agreement about the degree of political fragmentation and segmentation. One hand, the temporary, especially at that time, by various local power, the sultanate power, and the spent precious time for trying to subjugate such forces. There have been some other writing which have tried to characterize the state other perspective. It is such occasion that become a clear for the effective execution of the politics of the state. It was necessary for a rulers to keep politics separate from the religion and religious activities of the individual. Such example is very much necessary, but the suggestion that the religion was the touchstone of medieval politics in the continent, that Delhi Sultanate should thus the term Islamic State is not fully supported by the available evidence. They may have sometimes used religion as a means of mobilize people to explain certain action, but all action were in their essence political, and the state under Delhi Sultanate never took any special action for the glorification of religion if there was no attendant political gain. In this way, to be said that the state under Delhi Sultanate was not unified, which existed from the beginning to the end. It is told that thus in most the state was an expression of the vested interest of the ruling classes. It was a public political institution whose primary function was to bind together as its subject population into a universally disciplined mass, a community of people, a structure of power upon which political authority and power could be imposed. Justice, however understood and actual by the different groups, was the central axis of the state, and the degree of its success depended upon the skill which the rulers were able to mobilize and resources at their disposal as various other internal and external factors which determine their effectiveness. Now a question arises. Write a note on features of the state under Delhi Sultanate. Analyze the views of modern scholars on the nature of state under Delhi Sultanate. You will discuss all these things after Vijayanagara and Bahmani and other kingdoms. Vijayanagara kingdoms, discussion of Delhi Sultanate, we discuss about Vijayanagara kingdom. Vijayanagara kingdom's questions arise. Give a brief account of the origin and political achievements of Vijayanagara kingdom. Harihara II ruled from 1379 to 1406. He assumed the importance of Mohenjo-daro, and Raja Paramardi Deva Sewal has written that he was a lover of peace. But however, from inscription, it appears that he was a great warrior. In 1398, Bukka II, son of Harihara, attacked the Bahmani kingdom to capture the wealth of Doab, but it was defeated by Firoz, the Bahmani ruler. From this time he was there was some inscription of Harihara II. It is appears that during this time the Vijayanagara Empire extended over the whole of southern India, including Mysore, Trichinopoly, Kanchi, and Chhattisgarh. Harsha II was the worshipper of god Shiva, but Harihara II was the worshipper of God Shiva, but was tolerant towards the other religion. He died in 406 and was succeeded by his son Devaraya I. Devaraya I ruled from 406 to 1422. Account of the city of Vijayanagara. According to Abdul Raja, the city of Vijayanagara is such that has been some ever heard of any place resembling it upon the whole earth. It is to be built that it has several fortified walls on within the other. Beyond the circular of other walls, there is an esplanade extending for about 50 years. The fortress in the form of circle situated on the summit of the hill and made strong mirror of the strong stage where there are always plated and very dignified collection. At that time, Sulabh dynasty also arises and Tulba dynasty also arises. So, discussion of the Delhi Sultan and Muhammad Tughlaq to be shift the capital to Beg Delhi from Dolatabad. In the early half of 14th century was followed by the rise of number of independent territories at that different region. Most prominent among them I told about Vijayanagara and then Bahmani kingdom. Krishnadevaraya, Brahmani kingdom, the Deccan and the kingdoms of Bengal, Malwa, Gujarat, Jaunpur, etc. The creation of new kingdoms saw the weakness of control of central political authority over the provinces and tendency among the provincial chiefs of their independent political authority. In the
Hello.
respective areas, in the respective area regarding the nature, various occasions took place. Major trends of historiography of the various historiography give different definition, give different occasion about the give different statement about Vijayanagara Empire. In the view of large number of research about the history of Vijayanagara state, it was not possible to analyze everywhere component on its this unit. What is the attempt? There is identify measure the historiography of the Vijayanagara state. We hope that this will help you understand diverse views on this state. At that time, various historiographers give different view. Krishnaswamy works of Vijayanagara history allied topics brought a new element nationalist idea and the idea of patriotism. Works of followed by the study of B.A. Salatoret and Ne Vigayananda, Ajayananda, B. Stalin, etc. give different view. Foundation of the Vijayanagara kingdom, I already told you, the emergence of Vijayanagara state in explained Hindu, resistance against the Mohammedan invasion. This theme of Hindu-Muslim status was introduced by the Robert Sewell, who is the author of the first standard work on the history of Vijayanagara Empire. The literary sources and the epigraphical records of the early Vijayanagara period identified in the invaders of Trichinopoli. At that time, we observe some early historians, Muslims had been a part of South Indian society. At that time, to begin with, the Sangamela had control over the small area, compromising the Guti and its surroundings. In the initial years of kingdom, the Sanghas were involved in different types of fighting. The Vijayanagara kingdom was ruled by 4 distinct dynasties. We have mentioned that the kingdom was founded by Sangams, sometimes called Yadavas, around 1485. The Sangam kings, Virupaksha II was murdered by his son, and Sulabha Narasingha founded the line of Sulabhas. After Sulabha Narasingha's reign, there was again conflict which ended with the rulers of Tulava. At that time, the power in 1505. The Tulava period considered as be the hydra of the Vijayanagara Empire, which started decline under the central power. At that time, a conflict started, and then the military commanders Nayakas started. The nature of the state. What was the nature of the state? Historians are divided in characterizing the Vijayanagara state in different way. At that time, it is a feudal composed in the European feudalism. He also highlighted the difference between Western and Vijayanagara models of feudalism. Mahalingam opinion was mainly based on study of Nayakananda. Hence, he could distribute it depends. Those who hailed from the king were called Nayakas. The Nayakos ruled over the territory thus granted by the king with great autonomy. In return, Nayaka had twofold duties. In this time, there is a difference also between two systems. In Europe, the process was visible according to which the individual small landholders and homage to the land and receive land from him as a return of service to him. At that time, Vijayanagara state, the nearest approach to the war state over the made by Hindu kingdom. It was following the characterization of Mahalingam. Recently, the European scholars have also described Vijayanagara policy and the feudalism. Resources of the realm. After that, we discuss about the new Bahmani kingdom. In the basis of sovereignty was force. The kingdom originated due to the revolt of the Delhi Sultanate. The nobility played an important role in the political sphere, especially in the process of assumption of power by the rulers and providing assume to maintain power. The Sufi and the ulemas played an important role in legitimate state power through religion and the philosophers' ideology. After the house of Bahmani, Sultan ascended the throne through either nomination by the king, in which sometimes promulgated was followed by through a process of selection by the ruling king, nobles and other. At times when a minor declared as Sultan, the actual power was by the nobility of the king. Among the travelers, the most notable person was visited the days of Muhammad Guan, in famous prime minister of Sultan Muhammad Shah. At that time, the realm of Bahmani kingdom was comprised roughly the Deccan part of the South India up to the Krishna river, which was northern border of the strong Vijayanagara state. The rain was lying plains as well as dry zone of uploads. What have noted in the case of Vijayanagara Empire is equally applicable to the territory of Bahmani Sultan also. The general expansion of cultivation from the plants to the upload zones was also an important feature of the Bahmani period. Special mention should be made about Galkunda, which later emerged as an important kingdom. The Bahmani kingdom made its appearance to the political horizon of Deccan due to the revolts toward the end of the reign Muhammad bin Tughlaq. The Sultan became suspicious about these things. At that time, according to some historians, Bahmani kingdom enjoyed its glory in the period from 1461 to 1481, when Muhammad Khan was the prime minister of. At that time, Muhammad Khan was prime minister. Muhammad Khan belonged to the many successive military operations and belonged to the Paradesi group of the follower of Shaha dynasty. Gawan conducted many successful military operations and extended the Bahmani territory. The hostile group conspired against the prime minister. There are stories about the convents of Delhi against Gawan. Once they managed to get sheet paper with Gawan seal. The enemies wrote a letter purporting to be firm, and a king of Parisa told him that the people, the Deccan, were many Muhammad's tyranny and orb into invert country. The kingdom, then after that we discuss about the kingdom of Bengal. Bengal being far from of the Delhi, number of occasion trade assets its independence from the Sultanate of Delhi. At that time, in Bengal, during the reign of Delhi Sultanate, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq over the province, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq of Lakhauti Stagan supported the independent administrative divisions which the capital was capital at Lakhauti. The above narrative shows that the very beginning establishment of the Delhi Sultanate, there was always a tendency on the part of provincial rulers of the Bengal to assert their independence. The terms of financial and regular resources, province was very rich, So the Delhi sultans keen to maintain their hold over the province, but geographical distance of Bengal from Delhi and poor communication system and the climatic condition of the province made it is difficult for the Sultan of Delhi to maintain proper check over the nobles deputed in Bengal. Although at that time religion no doubt played an important role in the legitimizing the political authority, but administrative practices, secular consolidation were made important, particularly during reign of Alauddin. Bengal witnessed the emergence of Vasyavati movement under the famous saint Chaitanya. Chaitanya's literature speaks about the harmonious relation between the Hindus and Muslims. Then we discuss about the Mughal state. After that, we'll discuss about the Mughal state. Who were the Mughals? We already told these things about the other class. Then we discuss about the Mughal
Hello.
period.
Hello.
Yes, sir. I will teach the lesson, and after that you will ask me in half an hour. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you,
okay,
sir.
sir.
There are many reasons for the attack of Babur in India. The main factors that obliged him to undertake the movements of war given. Ambition of Babur. Babur was the founder of Mughal Empire. Babur was an ambitious man. In his memoirs, he himself writes, "Filled as I was by the ambition of conquest and broad sway of the two rivers, and could not make sit down doing nothing. First, he tried to fulfill the ambition in Central Asia and invaded Samarkand several times, but unfortunately he could not succeed. Though he conquered Tashkent, Bakhara, Fargana, and Ghazni, but lost them within a short period. He realized that the practically impossible for him to fulfill his desire. In the West End, he turned towards the East. Fanatic different criticism about Babur. Babur was a religious bigot. As a staunch Sunni, he thought it was his pious duty to crush the idolatry and get Islam spread in various parts of Asia. He was fully aware of the history of Muhammad Ghazni, and he himself see the respect of Muhammad Ghazni command even in his day. Inspired by the fame of Muhammad Ghazni, he made up his mind to invade India and spread Islam there. This is his aim and ambition. Babur was the founder of Mughal Empire. And then the first battle of Panipat started in 1526. The first battle of Panipat was fought between Babur and Ibrahim Lodi. It is one of the most significant battles of medieval Indian history. In 1525, Babur invaded India with determination to conquer it all alone. He took this action was a result of the conspiration of Daulat Khan of Punjab and unfaithfulness of Alam Khan, uncle of Ibrahim Lodi. First, he defeated Daulat Khan, but after that, he marched towards Delhi. Then Ibrahim Lodi started war and came to Delhi to face Babur and to armies. And at that time, just causes and success of Babur at Panipat, various causes responsible for these things. Efficient generalship, artillery
मतलब
of
online class
Babur,
चलती है अच्छा है
disunity of Indians, inefficiency of Ibrahim, weakness of Ibrahim forces, use of elephants by Ibrahim, weak
देखिए देखिए
system of
माही
Ibrahim.
माही
Yes. Significance of the battle. As we have already discussed, the Battle of Panipat in some of the most significant battles in the medieval Indian history. Here we are discussing the important results of this battle. The first result was the establishment of new dynasty, and then end of Afghan rule, and then end of Delhi Sultanate, use of artillery in India, enhancement in glory of Babur, and different difficulties after the Battle of Panipat were discontentment and indiscipline in subject, and then many opponents, discontentment in soldiers of Babur, financial problem, opposition by the Rajputs. Rajputs were deadly against Babur. After the fall of Lodi dynasty, they were dreaming for a long time when they might be get rid of Muslim, and they were a great headache for Babur. And then Battle of Khanwa started. The different causes also responsible for this battle. There circumstances also leading to the battle. Charges of Babur of Rana Sangha and vice versa, and then ambition of Babur to rule over India, Rana Sangha's desire for establishing the Hindu empire, attack of Rana Sangha to Nizam Khan, and then the cost of Battle of Khanwa is also very large. For the execution of technique adopted by the Babur, a new technique adopted by the Babur, and then the reasons of victory of Babur in the Battle of Khanwa, then disunity of Rajput, strengthening of the army of Rana Sangha, etc., were fully responsible for the Battle of Khanwa. At that time, when the Rajput weekend of Rajput exposed foundation of Mughal Empire in India, new stage in Babur's career started, and then the Battle of Ghargara started. Ghagra, that is in 1529. Babur had still to face the Afghans in once more battle. At that time, Lodi established his rule in Bihar, and Babur sent his son Askari to punish Muhammad Lodi, and himself followed him. Many Afghan chiefs, Muhammad made their submission to Babur, and at that time the circumstances leading to Babur's death made. It is said that his son Humayun fell sick, and doctor declared that he would not survive. At this moment, some predicated that if Babur was ready to live for most valuable thing, Humayun could survive. For Babur, his life was the most valuable thing, and so he walked 3 times round the bed of Humayun and prayed God that his own life may be taken in place of Humayun. He uttered this, I have borne it away, I have borne it away. It is said that from that time, Humayun began to recover, and at that time, Babur became sick and from bed to worse, and at that time, and in 26 December 1530, his death made. But anyway, administration system of Babur was very good. Babur as an empire builder aimed to build an empire, a great conqueror, and in a sort of time. But he had also some demerits also. Conquered but not consolidated. A weak administrator, a poor financier, Akbar the builder, not Babur, etc. So we know that we confirm the conclusion to say that Babur is not an empire builder, does not appear to be quite correct. He was an empire builder but not a great as Akbar. According to Lenpul, a greatest historians, he architected the empire but yet laid the first stone of the splendid fabric which his grandson Akbar completed. In this way, the character and estimate of Babur give a lesson to us. As a man, Babur was a kind-hearted and generous man. He had all traits of gentleman. He had friendly terms with his relatives. Though he was a drinker, but not a shelf of wine, he had a great human being. Dr. Ishwari Prasad written that it is this human trait to race among the Mongols and Turks which makes Babur personality a subject observing interaction. In this way, the Babur's chapter over and Humayun ascended the throne. But there are no some important things in Humayun's life. Humayun was the eldest son of Babur. He was born in March 1508. His mother was Mahima Begum. He had 3 brothers, Kamran, Askari, and Hindal. Babur took great care for the education of Humayun, as Babur himself was a scholar. He did not bestow to the education to his son. In his early age, Humayun learned Turki, Arabic, Persian. He had also the knowledge of Hindi language. Humayun had very little interest in literature, and so he could not have mastery over this language. He was interested in mathematics, philosophy, astronomy, and astrology. And Humayun's rule, in the time of Humayun's rule, he faced so many problems. At the age of 15, he faced so many problem. And then the after Humayun, Akbar's chapter started. Who was Akbar? Akbar was the son of Humayun. Who was Akbar? Akbar was the son of Humayun. Okay. So in the what these things we will tell about this to remember about the Mughal state in India. Babur, then Humayun, and then Babur, then Humayun, and then Akbar. Akbar was the founder. Akbar is also a imperial ideology under imperial ideology under Akbar. Under Akbar, a framework of power was developed by the symbolic rituals element in together of the nobility, including the military cum civil personnel, mansabdari, jagirdari category, jamindari, especially the chiefmans of ulema in the state machinery was brought about due to the sharp action of Akbar. He had to combine the tasks of expansion of territory, the creation of an administrative structure to develop equilibrium between the Hindus and Muslims. Akbar's authority was reinforced by a systematic unfolding of a dynamic ideology by Abul Fazl. This ideology combined hereditary monarchy and described spiritual status through symbols and other things. The emperor could not command by loyalty from his subordinates. According to Abul Fazl, the Akbar was one of the greatest person of the world. The nature of discount of the submitted to the empire in 1595. It represents the masterpiece containing not only useful information but decorated with painting and calligraphy, which enhance its significance. Akbarnama may be placed the category of Indo-Islamic court. The nature of kingship under the previous Indo-Islamic rulers were on religious validation. It was considered that Akbar was a spiritual accompaniment by the authority and wisdom. Akbar was a person and which had been bestowed upon him by the creator of the world. Thus Akbar's personality, the supernatural and complex traits which shape and foresight and idealism developed the source of his dominance. Akbarnama was with beautiful paintings, the contribution of artists who had supported Abul Fazl in building these things. Akbar, the nature of the state, various interpretation. Historians have given different interpretation for explaining the nature of Mughal state. The theory of sovereign of kingship has been discussed, which indiscipline for an understanding of the Mughal state. The collection of historical works is available on the Mughal state. According to W.H. Morland, Story of Agrarian, that the system of Mughal represents a major contribution towards the study of the Mughal Empire. The most important school of historian analysis is, so far as the Mughal state is considered as a Aligarh school. Historians belonging to this school have tried to evaluate the state mainly in the context of his economic organization. According to J.R. Richards and T. Rai Chaudhuri, the uncomplicated desire of a small ruling class for more and more material resource explain most of Mughal state in action. In case of Mughals, the economic system was simple under the weight of his own contradiction. At that time, the British administrator historian W.H. Morland and Habib persecuted are the Morlands because of the following reason. The first is use of Marxist tool of analysis. The second is greater use of Persian sources. They are less stress on the period of Akbar to Aurangzeb from 1556 to 707. Akbar and Aurangzeb's reign give him more important and the most reliable source. It is suggested that the Mughal institutions were established by Akbar. They constituted a functions under the successor but developed techniques in Aurangzeb's period. The pre-Akbar period and the post-Aurangzeb period are neglected in their historical writings. The state is regarded as an extremely centralized bureaucratic system. This characterization is explained on the basis of uniform revenue. State is played an important role at that time, which levied taxes by the revenue from the peasantry. From the peasantry. Ideology is regarded as insignificant for analysis of historical texts and attitude of various social groups, especially the titled. Trade and considered relevant only in the context of providing import for the elite use. The flow of precious metals. 18th century is regarded as a period of anarchy and decline, especially by Arthur Oley and Ifran Habib. Both are historian and historiographer. The Central Asian legacy of Mughal is not given sufficient emphasis in Mughal historiography. The majority of writings of Mughal state mainly lay stress on the two regions, Akbar from 1556 to 1605 and Aurangzeb from 1655 to 707. The period of Babur and Humayun is not paid due attention in historical literature. However, some historians like A.S. Nurallah, Habab Ali, Reza Khan, etc. Give different information about these things. Studies of Mughal institutions have failed to focus on the adjusted between the structure laid down by the Afghans and the Mughals. In such comparison, it would be possible to delicate the similarities between the Afghans and the Mughal system. It is interesting to note that Lodi Afghans believe in the concept of distribution of power and sharing sovereignty. Bahlal Lodi is the tribal ideas of method treated his nobles aristocracy of equals. However, under Sikandar Lodi, the tribal chiefs was made subordinate to the authority of the king without the nobles. This practice was greater by Ibrahim Lodi, who crushed the power of nobles and tried to establish individual sovereignty, which would not disturb the unity of the empire. The social and tribal tradition based on the authority of clan and kin ties. All are Afghan policy. However, these had to set aside the establishing strong state. The analysis of system of Nurallah Khan and I.A. Khan suggests that the efforts in sphere of fiscal and land revenue administration, where the contribution of Afghan rulers, particularly Sher Shah, reference to rupiah as a coin, initially found in Sher Shah's period from 1538 to 45 AD. And an important contemporary source materials for Sher Shah's period was Mughal revenue reforms. An important the leaders and Sher Shah, the newly annexed territories of Gujarat, Bengal, Bihar, Khandesh continued with their separate revenue system. Analyzing the ideology of Mughal Empire, J.R. Richards has pointed two bases of feature. He told that these formed of crux of Mughal theory, kingship and sovereignty. The notification of sovereignty made it is possible to deviate from the orthodox and principle and also the orthodox of ulema. Kingship continued to be Jahangir and Shahjahan's time. Sir Thomas Roche, the King of England, Mughal Emperor Jahangir, says that the latter, failing upon father concept and had dared to profession of himself of the Mysore. In Shahjahan's period and Jahangir's period, there was a shift of ideology that was known as divine faith, received a setback. Sheikh Ali Khan and Nasiruddin tried to promote Islamic system in Jahangir's period. He believed that at that time there was restoring of to Islamic revivalism and orthodoxy in the period of Jahangir and Shahjahan. Sufi ideology was promoted with orthodoxy and tried to influence politics by insulting nobles and disciples and encouraging Islamic revivalism. Then growth of fiscal system explain of trade and important characteristics of 17th century AD. An important thing is that the system expense of trade was important characteristic of 17th century, where the development which took place in period was the growth of bankers to remit revenue from the provinces to the center. And in 17th century was also marked by the involvement of the nobility and the commerce of and trade. At that time, many dual system of revenue also started. The revenue documents which were used by the historian are source material and evidence of the centralized character of the Mughal state. There are the middle of 17th century. It needs to emphasize the Shahjahan and Aurangzeb's reign, and also noted for the efforts on the part of imperial authority to bring more and more land under at that time. Several changes were introduced in this time, and Shahjahan in the sphere of Mansabdari system. We have already discussed about the systematic propounded by the Aligarh scholars, who feel that the administrative system was initiated and made incapable by Akbar, but it has been questioned by other scholars. It seems that this administrative arrangement developed and grew in the late of 16th century AD. It reflected some extent and continuation of the earlier institution, arrangements and other system. Therefore, it is important to stress the evolutionary aspect with regard to the development of administrative structure. No single ruler can be credited for perfecting these institutions. Expansion of agriculture by cutting forest is an important development of Shahjahan's period. It is an Hababullah Khan. From the time of Shahjahan, it was customary that woodcutter and plough system. Plough used to be donated by the government at the rate of Anna per bigha in the first year. At that time, there was a general order that who suffered, cleared and forced brought and land under cultivation. Such land would be the Jamindari system. Thus, the period between the middle of 17th and beginning of 18th century was notable for the growth of trade system and agricultural expansion. The increasing of complication of the Shahjahan's Aurangzeb's period reflect the greater stress on the formalization and emphasis on procedure and propriety with focus on measurement. At that time, the Aurangzeb's official position is reflected in this period. At that time, there was a royal letters, orders, and communication to his officials. Aurangzeb efforts to delegate a legal procedures. For Aurangzeb might have contributed to the insurrection and revolts, but the crisis which took definite shape in this period. R.P. Tripathi suggests that the Afghan polity and policy were basically decentralized. The Mongol features inherited a polity, especially the decrease of Changing Khan laid stress on the division of sovereignty through division of tribes. Some scholars feel that the institutions which were established under Akbar paved the way for centralization. However, it is important to note that the Jagirdari system, Mansabdari system had origin of the earlier periods. At that time, they represent evolutionary institutional system. They were not the creation of Akbar's time. Gunpowder empires lays emphasis on the role of the establishment of centralized empires like Mughal. According to Blanke, analyzed the Mughal state on the bureaucratic empire. This concept is borrowed from the Weber and applied to the Mughal state. This is based on the principle of small state. The ruler governed as it was a household realm. With the expansion of territory and emergence of large state of bureaucracy has to be resaluted and effective governance. This was the basis of patrilineal and bureaucratic empire. And then the decline. The decline of Mughal empire means the decline of the state. Therefore, it is an analysis of decline of weakening of the empire would invariably mean degeneration. From various causes responsible for the decline of Mughal empire. From the above analysis, we can summarize that the Turco-Mongol origin of this dynasty had influenced the Mughal idea of empire and concept of kingship. Babur idea of sovereignty and kingship had direct linkage with the principles of their tribal Mongol tradition and the Islamic tradition in which he was brought up. Akbar made innovation of Mughal theory sovereignty by introducing national element. At that time, there was the conflict among the nobles about the sharing of power, agrarian surplus. Mughal emperor ensured his position as a superior arbiter. Then we started a new lesson, that is century successor of state. Century successor of state. The 18th century has been subject of historical debate among the scholars. It is represented the nature of successor state which emerged in this period. The 18th century has been subjected historical debate among the scholars. It represents a phase of transition between medieval and modern period. The decline of Mughal power in the 18th century was characterized by the rise of autonomous states in the 18th century. Earlier, the historians regarded this period as crisis turn, but the recent researchers have tried to study 18th century state as separate and reprocessing elements by a dynamic and growth. It is most to study the 18th century debate among scholars for understanding the nature of successor state which emerged in this period. 18th century has been largely analyzed the Mughal Empire. However, recent writing of focus on 18th century. This phase represents a transitory era between the medieval and modern period. The earliest interpretation of 18th century is contained by Sir Nath Sarkar, History of Bengal, Volume 2, discuss about these things. Then Mahishur 6, this compromise of Oudh, Hyderabad, Bengal started. These politics are analyzed as preparing the ground for the for Mughal imperial system to the British system. The 18th century politics should also be seen in the context of continuity with the Mughal politics system and also changes introduced to the new political situation. Thus, the 18th century reflected the political transformation from Mughal decline to the British colonialism. But socio-economic forces at the local level continued to local groups, shifted their political system. With the decline of Mughal Empire, the virtually independent Jamidar performed his task of collection of revenue, and the local rulers used these resources for sustaining court and army. This income also by the centers and several types of political formation emerged in this period, ranging from the successor of a state to Jamindar, which later got into the category of princely state under British. Okay, at that time the Sarkar, Sarkar propounded a dark position of 18th century, which had been reflected, challenged by the scholars like Arthur Ali, Chandra, Muzaffar Alam. It is based on unstable promise focusing. The Satish Chandra propounded this thing. According to him, the end of Aurangzeb's reign represent the beginning of 18th century, and this late medieval period was marked by the transformation brought about the breakdown of the Mughal imperial system. He analyzed the disruption of social political system as follows: social problems which no more device or expanding cultivation could solve. What was really required was the rapid expansion of industry and trade based on the introduction of new technology and the removal of old system, the social order, trade and industry to narrow sphere. Hence, a basic improvement in this situation was beyond the competence of any one king. And then in 1983, Calcutta lecturer Satish Chandra was able to discover possibility of economic growth in 18th century. He refers to the electricity and adaptability, especially in the sphere of cloth production. Long distance trade, insurance, banking, other categories of rural system was established. The political system in 18th century India, the Banaras ran from the earlier position of scholar who analyzed the context of crisis which developed the Mughal administrative and economic system. In this way, the pre-modern and modern time was organized along a vertical lines. At that time, the position of Bengal. The death of Aurangzeb in 707 was marked by the decay of Mughal Empire. Especially the central power in Delhi. Especially in central power in Delhi, this was followed by the emergence of successor state, which represented the Mughal Empire. Let us examine whether the provinces were undergoing a phase, decay or decline. It has been argued that in the 17th century, the Mughal administration was extremely compact and cohesive. The Mansabdari appointed by the center and posted in the province and constituted the upper layer administrative official system. This position was transferable and central government had absolute control over the provincial administration, especially through the various officials there who served as a corps and each other's power. Bengal, however, was a unique province because of the Jamindari system. Then during the 18th century, with the weakening of the central government, the provincial government in Bengal also underwent transformation. This power of the Mansabdari in Bengal weakened the size of imperial contingents was reduced. The Mansabdari found it difficult to send to Delhi due to the decline of military capability, and the Mughal power in the province started. The province Subedari, Diwani and Jamindari system started. Bengal in the 17th century was quite prosperous. Evidence show that the account of the extension of cultivation, growth of trade, silver, the province of Bengal was economically quite stable. We have pointed out that in spite of economic prosperity, the revenue demand in Bengal did not increase. The evidence of the administrative document informs us that the revenue demand had continued to be the same since Akbar's period, and it had not been subject to the revision on the basis of actual measurement. The official responsible for the revenue collection, Mansabdari system, who posed Jagirdari system, the Jamindari system and intermediate groups, remitted the revenue to the center in accordance with the official rate of demand, whereas the actual collection was much higher. Therefore, the Mansabdari system, the Jamindari system, etc. were amassing huge amounts to the cost of the center. Aurangzeb decided to streamline the revenue administration in Bengal since its Jama was low and it's remitted only a small sum to the central treasury. Therefore, in 700 he sent Murshid Quali Khan from Deccan to Bengal as Diwan. He was earlier demonstrated his skill in revenue administration in Deccan. In Bengal, he approved to be an adept revenue administrator who was initially appointed as Diwan, but later combined the office of Diwan and Najim. His revenue reforms prepared the ground for increase in Jama and Hansi in the 18th century Bengal. Murshid Quli Khan was successfully raising the revenue collection in Bengal. The increase of Jama in 18th century was about 22.5% as compared to figures of the revenue demand in 1580. This increase was, however, not very high. If we compare it with the increase in the other province of North India in the 17th century, the increase of Hali between 700 to 722 was about 20%. as compared in the rise of 22%. 5. Transformation of the revenue administration in Bengal and the establishment of new political system in Bengal due to the growth of trade and banking system. In this period, the sum total Jamindari decreased, but there was increase in large Jamindari. Moneylenders and bankers emerged as important groups, and they provided finances to the Jamindar, who served as the revenue operating agency at the local level for Najim. And then the revenue reforms introduced by Murshid Quli Khan entered increasing the revenue demand and collection through measurement and by the adjustment of the emperor. Although survey and investigation were conducted by the Najim through his official to get information about the revenue paid by the Jamindari, but it seems that this could not have been done at the village level as mentioned in the contemporary evidence and the efforts to the provincial government. Certain Jamindari were encouraged to the creating of big Jamindars by bringing other Jamindari system under their control and also due to grant of lands to them by the Nazim. At that time, the Jamindari between 700 to 722, Nadia Baluddin emerged as a large Jamindari system. By 727, half of the revenue collected for the province was provided by 15 large Jamindar, which existed in this period. The policy of Najim eliminated the Jamindars who were not able to pay their dues in the Jamindari system, who made prompt remittance to the government and rewarded for their performance of Jamindari system. With the bankers and the moneylenders had emerged as a powerful group within the province, both economically and politically. In this period, Murshid Quli served as a Najim in Bengal power of the central government. Murshid Quli was able to establish firm foothold in Bengal. During this period, Sahabuddin, son-in-law of Murshid, the success of Murshid Quli, the bond between the center and the province was further undetermined. Although he did not possess his father-in-law's system, but he was an efficient administrator and imperial revenue collector. Therefore, thus in 730, the provincial administration in Bengal was through the cooperation between Najim, Jamindar and bankers. This was not in accordance with the Mughal system. Thus, it seems that the administrative link between the center and the province had been loosed. And this emergence of big Jamindar, Murshid Quli's time enabled the province government to increase Jama and Hansli. The subsequent period in that time, thus the 18th century province of Mughal Empire, Bengal was able to move on the path of autonomy, but independent Bengal did not witness a crisis of administration, but a transformation of the Mughal pattern, and many new features were introduced in its political system, which have been discussed in the next class, and we will discuss about the colonialization. Okay, tell me about any question, any doubt. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, there is a question: the nature of state under the Delhi Sultan.
Yes. 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 What is the nature of the state of Delhi Sultanate?
Yes, sir.
We already discussed about the formation of Delhi Sultanate.
Yes, ma'am.
Started with the rise of Qutbuddin Aibak to the power in 1206. However, it was only during Iltutmish reign that the Sultanate Delhi is under the control of the rulers of Ghazni, and therefore the origin of Qutbuddin Aibak first was the Qutbuddin Aibak. If you know about Qutbuddin Aibak, who was Qutbuddin Aibak? Who was Qutbuddin Aibak? If you know about Qutbuddin Aibak, tell me about Qutbuddin Aibak.
Ghurid King.
Ghurid King.
Yes, then? Yes, then? I'll tell you.
After King Jo Muhammad Ghori.
No, no. A foundation of Islamic rule in India was done by the Turks, but not by the Arabs. Although the Arabs were the first Muslim invaders on India, they became the insignificant after their initial success, and their invasion became an episode in the political history of India. The work started by them, however, was carried. Islam had control over the Khalifa Baghdad. They brave, bold, and determined, and were thoroughly a scholar. In fact, the first Turkish invader of India was Muhammad Ghazni, who was by the Khalifa, which was the title of Yamin ud Dullaha. He invaded India kingdoms frequently and plundered Indian cities and temples. He took away huge quantity of wealth from India and killed her people in thousands. He made the kingdom existence which had been north frontier against the foreign invaders. Muhammad also made Punjab and Afghanistan a part of Ghazni kingdom, but he did not establish an Islamic rule in India. The credit of founding of Muslim empire in India does not either Muhammad bin Qasim to Muhammad Ghazni, but to Muhammad Ghori, the ruler of Ghor, who succeeded to establishing a Muslim empire in India on a secured footing. Muhammad Ghori was the third Muslim invader of India. He made repeated invasion to the India and conquered Punjab, Sindh and Multan in some of his initial invasion. After this, his eyes fell upon the powerful Rajput kingdom of Delhi and Ajmer, which was then ruled by a young and dynamic king, Prithviraj Chauhan. Muhammad Ghori, who was bent upon conquering the whole Hindustan, met Prithviraj Chauhan in the first battle of Tarain in 1191 AD. Muhammad was defeated and wounded at this encounter and had fled away with his wife. Fled away with life. In spite of the defeat, Ghori did not give up his Indian ambitions. In the every next year in 1192 AD, he met Prithviraj Chauhan in the battlefield of Second Terani and fought with tricks. He won the war at that time and was great victory against the great king of India. Prithviraj was captured and taken away as a prisoner. The second battle of Tarani is a landmark in the history of India and the Muslim rule in India. After conquering Delhi, Ajmer, Kaunaj, subsequently Muhammad Ghori laid the foundation of the Muslim rule in India. But he left the war its consolidated to Qutbuddin Aibak, who was his most trusted ruler. Okay. Do you understand? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Who was Qutbuddin Aibak? Who was Qutbuddin Aibak? My next question. Who was Qutbuddin Aibak? Mohammad Ghori
मैम
had
कुतुबुद्दीन ऐबक मामलुक डायनेस्टी फॉर्म करथिले से मोहम्मद घोरींकर जनरल थिले देन से दिल्ली सल्तनate तांको द्वारा स्टार्ट हेतिला
ओके ओके तथापि मु कहि दउची सुनो हां मोहम्मद घोरी had no son and therefore he had distributed his vast empire among his nephew and faithful ancestor Qutbuddin Aibak as he was his most trusted servant got his Indian possession by his own choice. Muhammad's nephew Ghiyasuddin succeeded him at Ghor and his other two servants as Tajuddin Yildiz and Nasiruddin Kuibacha got the area from Afghanistan to Upper Sindh and Multan respectively. After his death, all of them became independent in their respective territories. Qutbuddin Aibak, who was the governor of Ghori, Indian position became independent after his death and began his rule in 1206 AD in the title of Delhi Sultan. He has been regarded as the real founder of Turkish rule in India. Of course, Muhammad of Ghor had included the territories of India in his empire. Okay. Next. Hello. Any doubt? Who was Iltutmish? Who was Iltutmish? In Sultanate period, who was Iltutmish?
ଇଲତୁତମିଶ ଥିଲେ କୁତବୁଦ୍ଦିନ ଆଇବକର ସନ୍ ଇନ୍ ଲ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଏବଂ ତାଙ୍କର ଥିଲେ ବିଶ୍ୱସ୍ତ କ୍ରୀତଦାସ। ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ସେ ତାଙ୍କ କ୍ରୀତଦାସ ଥିଲେ, ତାପରେ ତାଙ୍କର
Yes, yes. Tell me. Very good.
ତାପରେ ତାଙ୍କର କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକଳାପରେ ସନ୍ତୁଷ୍ଟ ହୋଇକି ତାଙ୍କୁ ବାଗଦାଦ ଆଉ ହାଲସାର ଶାସନ ଦାୟିତ୍ୱ ପ୍ରଦାନ କରିଥିଲେ। ଆଉ ସେ
Yes.
ଆଉ କୁତବୁଦ୍ଦିନ ଆଇବକ ଇଲତୁତମିଶକୁ ଅତି ସ୍ନେହ ଆଉ ଶ୍ରଦ୍ଧା କରୁଥିଲେ। ତ ତାପରେ ତାଙ୍କ କନ୍ୟାଙ୍କୁ ତାଙ୍କ ସହିତ ବିବାହ କରାଇଥିଲେ।
Yes, very good. But the Usha did not understand the Zoria. Okay. Iltutmish was the first real Turkish Sultanate of Delhi. After the death of Qutbuddin Aibak, his efficient son Aram Shah was placed on the throne by his officers at Lahore. But his creature was opposed by the nobles of Delhi. High officials, including Turkish nobles at Delhi, decided to invite Iltutmish, the son-in-law of Aibak, to succeed him. Iltutmish was more efficient always as well as a capable military commander. He was then the governor of Badun. Iltutmish, who was eagerly waiting for this opportunity, responded to their call very promptly and reached Delhi and assumed sovereign powers. Aram Shah marched towards Delhi with a vast army, but Iltutmish defeated and killed him, and he is said to have ruled over 8 months. Okay.
Okay.
And then, yes. Pushpanjali Gowda, any question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
मैडम मोर लास्ट क्लास रे गोटे डाउट थिला से थिला गोटे ना अप्रोचेस टू द स्टडी ऑफ आर्ली मेडिएवल पॉलिटी मु काली टिके पढिली मैडम मु आंसर कोन लिखबी मु जानि पारलिनी को पॉइंट दे कि लेखा जीवो कोन मु किछि बुझी पारलिनी।
ठीक अच्छे मु तुमको पॉइंट सब सार को कही कि आंसर सब पीडीएफ फाइल रे तुमको सेंड करा हो। तुमको तो पीडीएफ ऑलरेडी दिया है जाइछि बदे। ठीक अच्छे
हां बुक्स रो दिया हिछि।
हां सेइतरो सब नोट करो आगे नोट करिकि बाछ कि को माने को फेज गुडा होबो पूरा एकदम डीपली ताको स्टडी करो पूरा डीपली। ओके
ओ ठीक अछि मैडम मु पढिली किंतु पढिली डीपली पढिनी किंतु थरे दुतर पढिली तापर भाबली नाही मैडम को पचारी कोटा कोन हबो।
हाँ हाँ मु कहबी नेक्स्ट क्लास रे एना गोटे ब्लॉक मु धरी साची तो
ठीक अछि मैडम। हां
सियाड को माइंड टा कले याडे डिस्टर्ब हे जवा।
हां ठीक अछि मैडम आपण कहबे आराम से हो।
ओके नेक्स्ट व्हाट आर द अर्ली डिफिकल्टीज ऑफ इल्तुतमिश? व्हाट आर द अर्ली डिफिकल्टीज ऑफ इल्तुतमिश? हेलो what are the early difficulties of Iltutmish at that time? Hello, Usha?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What are the early difficulties of Iltutmish? जब Iltutmish ascended the throne, which problem to take place?
How and under what conditions ICT access can be usable and useful.
मी सिंहासन आरोहण କରିଥିଲେ ସେତେବେଳେ ତାଙ୍କ ରାଜ ଦରବାରରେ ଯୋଉ ସାମନ୍ତ ଗୋଷ୍ଠୀ ଥିଲେ ସେମାନେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ପ୍ରଥମେ ନିଜର ରାଜା ବୋଲି ଗ୍ରହଣ କରିପାରିନଥିଲେ ଆଉ ସେମାନେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ବିରୋଧ କରୁଥିଲେ। ସେମାନେ କହୁଥିଲେ କି ସେ ବଳପୂର୍ବକ ସିଂହାସନ ଆରୋହଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି।
Okay.
ଆଉ ସେଇ ସମୟରେ ବି ଗଜନୀର ଶାସକ ତାଜୁଦ୍ଦିନ ଇଲତୁତମିଶଙ୍କ ସହିତ ତାଙ୍କର ପ୍ରତିଦ୍ୱନ୍ଦିତା ସେତେବେଳେ ପ୍ରବଳ ପ୍ରତିଦ୍ୱନ୍ଦିତା ଚାଲିଥିଲା ଆଉ ଇଲତୁତମିଶ ବି ତାଙ୍କ ବିରୋଧରେ ସଂଗ୍ରାମ କରିଥିଲେ।
Someone disturbing. Please be silent.
Hello, ma'am.
Someone disturbing.
technology acceptance model, TAM model. Technology acceptance.
Hello. Iltutmish ascended the throne of Delhi. Yes. Iltutmish ascended the throne of Delhi at a time of crisis period. The difficulty which his master Aibak had faced were not yet over. Therefore, he did not find the throne a bed of roses. He had to face a number of difficulties at home and from outside. After Aram Shah, there are dangerous situations like Tajuddin Yaldaz and Ghazni and Nasiruddin Kuibacha. Sindh and Multan. Yaldaz asserted his sovereignty power of Hindustan and treated Iltutmish as his vassal. Kuibacha, the governor of Multan, had marched up to Lahore by declaring his independence. Ali Mardan, the governor of Bengal and Bihar, had declared his independence immediately. After the death of Qutbuddin, the Rajput states like Ranthambore, Ajmer, Gwalior and others had stopped paying tributes and also had declared their independence. Thus, the Sultan of Delhi was in precarious position when Iltutmish ascended the throne. Okay, he looked like almost not existent. Okay, next.
Yes, ma'am.
Who was the founder of Khilji dynasty? Who was the founder of Khilji dynasty?
Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji.
Yes, very good. Who was the person who started the theory of kingship? In the matters of theory of kingship, Alauddin, like Balban, believed in the divine right of king, considering him as the representative of God. He ruled the way he liked. He acted as absolute monarch, which ultimated powers. He believed that the will of Sultan was law. The Sultan was above all, and all the powers of the state from him. Okay. Okay. Okay, hello?
ma'am.
Yes. Susanti Swai?
Yes, ma'am.
Tome kichi kuho?
Ma'am, my question is the administrative. One minute, ma'am.
Okay.
मैम वन क्वेश्चन मामलुक डायनेस्टी और इल्बारी डायनेस्टी मैम जो कुतुबुद्दीन ऐबक मामलुक डायनेस्टी फाउंड करथिले ना इल्बारी डायनेस्टी माने अलग अलग क्वेश्चन अछि अलग अलग आंसर
हाँ कुतुबुद्दीन ऐबक इल्बारी डायनेस्टी करथिले बट कुहा जाय कि अलाउद्दीन करथिले बोली एक्चुअली बाबर इज द फाउंडर ऑफ मुगल एम्पायर किंतु कुहा जाय द अकबर वाज द बिल्डर ऑफ मुगल एम्पायर से बोली ओके
ओके मैम
ओके
Hello. Yes, ma'am. My question is administrative and institutional structures of Vijayanagar Central Power.
This is a long question.
मैम पॉइंट में डिस्कस कर लीजिए बस.
अच्छा ठीक है. विजयनगर एम्पायर तो ओके.
Yes, ma'am.
At that time in Vijayanagara was a Hindu kingdom. Okay. At that time Vijayanagara was a Hindu kingdom.
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, point के लिए अपना किताब निकालो, खाता निकालो.
ठीक है मैम, रेडी हूँ.
ओके. विजयनगर बाहमनी किंगडम दोनों का ना सिर्फ विजयनगर का?
विजयनगर का.
ओके. लेखो the betray at that time the anastrally system of the centralization power at that time a central and provincial power established at that time. एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सिस्टम फास्ट रे लिखो सेंट्रल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन द किंग हैला काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर एंड अदर हायर ऑफिशियल्स different departments the administration of justice okay the revenue administration the provincial administration the local administration and the municipal administration okay पहले और बुक मैंने जितना पढ़ाया ब्लॉक नंबर 3 यूनिट 8 9 10 उसको अच्छी तरह से पढ़ो और फिर उसके बाद नोट करो और लिखो ठीक है ओके तो आज मैंने जो थिंग डिस्कशन किया उसका समरी शॉर्टली टेल मी अबाउट शॉर्टली वन बाय वन पुष्पांजलि प्रीतिरेखा उषा Who was the founder of Mughal Empire?
अकबर
Who? क्या?
बाबर बाबर
Babur was the founder of Mughal Empire. In which year Akbar's birth took place?
मैम 1522 1542
Who was father of Akbar? Silly
Humayun.
things by
हुमायूं शाह
Humayun. Yes. Who was mother of Akbar?
हमीदा बानो बेगम
Yes, very good. And next, give an account of the early life of Humayun and difficulties faced by him. Write down this question for next class. Give an account of the early life of Humayun and the difficulties he had to face on the association to the throne. Write down. And the next question for block 3.
मैम
Yes.
repeat
Write not. Repeat. Okay. Give an account.
of the early
Give an account of
of
early life of Humayun and the difficulty he had to face. And the difficulties he had to face on the association to the throne of Delhi. Next question for block 3. लिख लिया
मैम repeat please मैम
Okay.
yes मैम
Give an account of early life of Humayun and the difficulties he had to face.
on the association of
ACCESSION.
yes मैम
Next question for block 3. Write a note on the features of the state. Write a note on the features of the state under Delhi Sultanate. Write a note on the features of the state under Delhi Sultanate, giving reference to Ziauddin Barani.
मैम giving reference to the
giving reference to Ziauddin Barani and Fakir-e-Mudabir. एमाने दी जण हिस्टोरियन हैला हिस्टोग्राफर
मैम फकीर
फकीर-ए-मुदाबिर FAKHR-I-MUDABIR
मैम फकीर
तापरे हाइपेन गोटे दबो हैला I तापरे MUDABIR हैला
यस मैम
analyze the view of modern scholar on the nature of state. Analyze the view of modern scholar on the nature of state under the Delhi Sultanate.
मैम रिपीट
Analyze ANALYSE. Analyze the views of modern scholars on the nature of state under Delhi Sultanate. लिख लिया?
यस मैम
Next question. Write a note on the features of Vijayanagara polity. Write a note on the features of Vijayanagara polity. Write a note on the features of Vijayanagara polity. Analyze the king. Yes, next question. Analyze the kingdom of Bengal and Malwa. Analyze the kingdoms of Bengal and Malwa in the context of medieval state. Analyze the kingdoms of Bengal and Malwa in the context of medieval state. लिख लिया?
medieval studies
Analyze the kingdoms of Bengal and Malwa in the context of medieval state. ओके तुम ये सब 4 क्वेश्चन तुम्हारे लिए हाँ और ब्लॉक को अच्छी तरह से स्टडी करो ब्लॉक नंबर 3 एंड देन राइट डाउन इन प्रॉपर वे ओके इट इज वेरी मच नेसेसरी टू प्रैक्टिस द लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन एवरी डे तमे कम से कम 1 घंटा घंटे देकी अगर लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन गुडा बारंबार ताकू लेखिबो जेतिके पर्यंत पढाई छी ब्लॉक नंबर 3 पर्यंत हैला
यस मैम
जो माने लेखुच जो माने लेखुच यस बेली कहलो देखा
यस मैम यस मैम
यस यस
यस मैम
यस मैम यस
यस यस एतिके ओके सुशांति स्वाई तमे लेखुच
यस मैम
आज तो टाइम हे गलानी आ नेक्स्ट क्लास रे देखा हबो ब्लॉक नंबर 4 ओके
यस मैम
आउ कोन पचारबो ओके आउ 10 मिनिट्स मोर ओनली 10 मिनिट्स
Those who are at the they were also consulted and also
मैम
यस
मैम जने चैट बॉक्स रे क्वेश्चन पचार चंदी प्लीज के देखंतु
सर आई हैव ए डाउट फ्रॉम लास्ट क्लास कैन आई आस्क लास्ट क्लास टा पूरा तांको केमती कहबी सेटा सार कहबे केमती कोन ये करा हबो नेक्स्ट क्लास टा हैला पुष्पांजलि गौड़ा हां से पचारचंती सेटा सार को तमे काली जे पूरा क्लास टा कोन कहि हबो
नहीं मैडम पूरा क्लास नहीं गोटे कहली आपन को से लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन टा खाली एक्चुअली अप्रोचेस माने कोन अप्रोचेस कहले हिस्ट्री रे सेमती किछि डिफरेंट अप्रोच रहउछि की
अप्रोच माने कोन जन को तमे अप्रोच करछो ता माने कोन प्रस्तावना दउछो दैट मींस प्रस्तावना तार ओडियाटा एक्यूरेट ओडियाटा हला प्रस्तावना ठीक अछि पॉलिटिकली हेलो ओके
हां हां मैडम हां
ओके तमे लेखो केमती लेखुछ आगे प्रैक्टिस करो तम ऊपर कॉन्फिडेंस अछि तमे निश्चय पारिबो एया भाबो कॉन्फिडेंस इज वेरी मच नेसेसरी ओके
यस मैम
ओके
which kind of effort goes in further qualification of activity. So, equal justification arguments for considering Assam.
Madam, are you going to wind up?
yes sir okay sir
So you have completed up to Akbar.
ना सर टाइम हे गला
You have completed up to Akbar. I hope Akbar का जो राजपूत पॉलिसी ते टिके डिस्कशन करिए.
आगे आगे
Akbar राजपूत पॉलिसी and तापर आउट आउची रिलीजियस पॉलिसी. इन द रिलीजियस पॉलिसी हां रिलीजियस पॉलिसी रे दीन इलाही रो इंपोर्टेंट बहुत अछि.
यस सर यस सर
कारण से दीन इलाही बा यूनिवर्सल मोनोथेइज्म ऊपर के इंसिस्ट करथले सेटा ऊपर टिके प्लान कहबे कारण आई फाउंड दैट दिस क्वेश्चन इज वेरी इंपोर्टेंट फॉर
very important sir very important
दीन इलाही
I'll discuss okay sir I'll discuss the next class okay sir
you can discuss this because entire things cannot be discussed in a single platform. And
yes,
history, somebody asked that administrative structure in Vijayanagar Empire. Vijayanagar
yes,
first you have to understand who was
yes,
founded, who founded this Vijayanagar Empire, and who, because there was a power tussle, there was a power conflict between Vijayanagar Empire and Vijayanagar Empire and Bahmani Kingdom. So there was
yes sir
so that the entire South Indian history was affected. The social, political, economic history was affected because of this power conflict between Bahmani Kingdom and Vijayanagar Empire. Vijayanagar Empire was founded by Hari and Muka, whereas this Bahmani Kingdom, it was founded by Alauddin Hasan Gangu, or Brahman Sa, you can call it. So how the power concentration was made upon the Krishna and Godavari river, because these are two areas where we have to focus upon, the Krishna and Godavari river. So these are the two rivers which was a bone of contention between the Vijayanagar and Bahmani Kingdom. So both powers wanted to extend their empire towards each other at the cost of the neighboring vassal states. So this was आपण सेटा टिके स्लाइडली टच करिवे कारण से पावर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट दे दरकार कारण विजयनगर एम्पायर एंड bahmani kingdom, how there was a
very important. yes sir
आ सब तो करियोनी, इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट.
हां अल्प अल्प आगे आगे
बहुत वास्ट इज each and every Akbar kar dekhundu mu jodi Akbar kar koibi Akbar, it will take minimum 3-4 periods. Akbar kar Rajput policy, Akbar religious policy,
administration system,
policy, economic policy, art and architecture, sculpture, paintings. तापर शाहजहां पीरियड तो कहले इज
सॉरी बनी वही पूरा
golden age. It is a golden age in particularly in art and architecture.
yes sir
तेणु देखो how far it is possible to to
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay,
student
sir.
की basic funda दे दियंतु जे who was the founder, how it was founded, where they came, and how it was possible for them to establish the empire in India. What was the objective when they came to India? Somebody asked that who are Mughals, when they came, and what was the ambition? Their ambition, they were Iranians, and because there was a provincial state. Simply that तमनु पढ़िया पड़ियो बितरु जीवा पड़ियो
Again.
काहेकि इंडिया को आसिले बाबर आसिवार कारण होची these were provincial states, and Babur ancestors were ruling over these provincial states when they were compelled to, because there are these provincial states, there was a power conflict, and ultimately he was chased out. He was chased out, driven out by the provincial states, other provincial states. So he was compelled to migrate to India and or to invade India to establish an empire where he can rule over. So that was the objective of Babur to come out to India.
Again. Yes, sir.
Nicely presented, no doubt. It's nice, but history is a very you see, is a lengthy things, but upon
Interesting.
a chapter को important question, it can be analyzed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
आपनकर आउ रोइला माने अप टू एटा तो एटा मेडिवल सला आउ दुईटा क्लास है